How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Bengals free agency. It's about time we start talking about it. Super Bowl's over. You gotta love that, don't you? Super Bowl's over. Football season. You didn't win the Super Bowl, but you gotta watch the Bengals play throughout the entire season. Nonetheless, Bengals got some key free agents hitting the market this season. We're gonna talk about whether you keep these guys or you move on from them. Starting off, let's talk Riley Reiff. 33 years old. Pretty big deal here because he's 33 years old. I think we all know what happened last time. The Bengals thought a guy was a little too old at 33 and he was done. He just won a Super Bowl. Little hint there. Nonetheless, Riley Reiff, though, the way his contract works, it was a 2-year deal with the Bengals, but it was a deal where the second year is voided if he does not get signed before that second year starts. So technically, he's a free agent at that point. So the Bengals had the question, do you re-sign Riley Reiff? A Bengals offensive line has struggled mightily. I think Riley Reiff's a pretty good addition here. I do. You gotta lock down somebody if you're the bank. You can go out and sign 4 offensive linemen as far as I'm concerned. I'm being completely honest here. I watched enough of that season and I watched enough of Joe Burrow. I know I've seen what happens to Andrew Luck. Let's just put it that way. You guys remember Andrew Luck? Is he playing right now? Do you know why he's not playing right now? Yeah, I'll sign every single lineman we got in the league. Period. Nonetheless, though, I think Riley Reiff, he's a really team-friendly kind of contract deal. And you just look at the way this Bengals offensive line played with and without him this season. This is an offensive line allowing 4.25 sacks per game. In the 8 games Riley Reiff didn't play this season, when he was on the field, they was allowing just over 2.7 sacks per game. So clearly an addition that improved this offensive line. I'd still like to see them go out there again, get some interior guys, whatever. But I think that's a good start. If you have Williams, Riley Reiff, I know there's a Laramie Tunsil talk out right now as well. But that's an expensive contract. Let's talk Jessie Bates. Jessie Bates, again, an easy one. Sign the guy. I don't know why. I really don't know what he wants now. Because, he kind of bet on himself going into this past season. And he didn't really play up to the way he played last year. At the end of the season, though, the closer we got to the end, closer we got to the postseason, he really did start to play really good again. So I think, you could look at the guy and say, all right, still a very talented safety in this league. You want to have him on this team. Big cog in his secondary. And I still think you get him because of the way he played this season. I don't think the price tag went up on Jessie Bates from last year. And I really like what the Bengals could do with him here. Let's talk Larry Ogunjobi. Larry Ogunjobi, which I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a little bit of a biased Bengals fan. I really thought he played well. I did. It seemed like he was looked at differently from outside league. I remember the one week, what was it, an NBC or something? They had him ranked as like the 68th ranked defensive tackle in the league or something. I thought he did a really good job against the run. He had 12 tackle for losses. He hit the quarterback 16 times. He even had 7 sacks. And you consider what you're asking out of this guy. You're not asking for some top tier defensive interior lineman. You got DJ Reader to be that guy. You got your outside guys. You're just looking for a good compliment. A compliment that you can get for a friendly contract. That's not going to break the bank. And I really like the idea of Larry Ogunjobi being a guy like that. Again, it's important what we're clearly going to see out of the Bengals offensive defensive line, any defensive line. If you can get some depth at defensive line where you can rotate some of these guys in and they're not on the field for 90% of the snaps, that really helps, things out as well there where they're not tired. They can get to the quarterback more often, the pass rush. The legs stay fresh throughout the game. And I think if you can get a couple guys like that in the interior of this Bengals defensive line, I think that can go a long way. And maybe you can get more of a predominant pass rusher on the edge if you want to look that direction as well later. How about CJ Uzomah? This is a tough one for me. Man. He feels like the heart and soul of this team almost, don't he? He kind of has that persona to him. Great locker room guy to have. He's made some big plays on the Bengals. He is a free agent, though. And I can't help but think if the Bengals were to continue to, if he stays healthy and they try to elevate him, what they could possibly do with Thaddeus Moss, the guy that played tight end with Joe Burrow at LSU, had a great season with him too. I always think about the possibilities there. And looking forward, that's a cheaper possibility. That being said, though, if CJ Uzomah, again, loves playing in Cincinnati, I think he's a team-friendly contract type of guy, though, for this team. Not to undercut him or anything, but that's what I'd like to see if they was going to target a tight end position. Again, you got to remember how talented this team is out wide. I don't think you need to overpay for a tight end in this situation. How about Eli Apple? He's built up a little bit of a name for himself. A little bit of a trash talker, and he may have heard back from it in that Super Bowl performance. Now, Eli Apple, he's been all over the place this year. I remember the first couple games this year, complete black hole. You target him every snap if you could. Then he really started to turn around, started to play a lot better, started to play a little stronger up front there. And I got back to the Super Bowl where Cooper Kupp went off against him, which I don't like the comparison because Cooper Kupp was arguably the best receiver in the league this season. So you can't go out there. That's not Eli Apple's job. You didn't sign Eli Apple to go up against the number one. You didn't sign him to go up really against the number two. Not to me, you didn't sign him to go up to the number two. He's your number three. He's your depth corner type of guy. Your number three, your number four. Nonetheless, I don't know if you take that kind of personality and attitude with you going forward if you don't have to. So I'm gonna stay away from Eli Apple just based on the way he played this season. I'd like to see the Bengals try something else there. And again, when you consider Trey Waynes and his health issues, you're considering Eli Apple's got to step up and play in that top two role if he can't stay healthy. I'd like to see somebody else get that opportunity. And there's Quinton Spain. What a season this guy had. It's tough to see it because of how much Burrow got killed. But he did have a really good season. That left side of the offensive line had a really good season. And from Quinton Spain's perspective, I'm still thinking about, again, just trying to upgrade the offensive line as a whole. It does not hurt to have a depth guy. I'd really like to see Quinton Spain on kind of a hybrid deal where it's not like, oh, you paid this guy this much money, he's got to be your starter, you got to cut him. But you're also not going to give him just embarrassingly low money where he's not going to want to play for you. I'd like to see where you're kind of comfortable saying, well, if we find a better option at left guard, right guard, wherever. I'd like to see that kind of deal where it's like, it's okay if we can't start him type of money where you're comfortable giving him that much and not starting him the entire season if you don't have to. But at the same time, that option is there. Then you got BJ Hill, 12 tackle for loss this season, 6 QB hits. A surprisingly good addition for the Bengals, I think, this season. We did not hear as much from him later in the year. And again, we were talking about this just a little earlier. He's a depth guy in the interior. And I think from that standpoint, it's not a bad player to have. What I'd really like to say the Bengals doing for agency, obviously you target offensive line. I don't care how much that costs, you target offensive line. But the second thing you do is you got Hubbard, you got Hendrickson. But it'd be great to add another pass rusher. One that can, again, rotate in and out with these guys and make a difference. Keep these guys fresh. And if you can, again, complement other players in the interior with those guys that don't cost as much. Because, again, you got a salary cap to work with here. I think it works out well. And I would not be against keeping BJ Hill. I actually love the addition. If the Bengals can make that happen, you go, again, if you want to get a little bit of an upgraded defensive tackle still for the interior, you go and you can still go to that direction for your number 4 guy, your number 3 guy, and you still have BJ Hill there. I think he's a good complement player. I'm keeping him. But I think that is the majority of the Bengals' key free agents we're looking at this season. Love to hear you guys' thoughts. As always, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.